Morning, everybody. Hope everybody's well. Happy Friday. For those that are here live with me, thanks so much for being here. For those that are here any day of the week, any other day of the week, thanks so much for being here. Or however you're listening, thank you. We've been talking about this concept called not enough. I'm not enough. Everyone else is enough, but I'm not enough. I wish I were enough. If I'm enough in one area, I wish I were enough in the area that is now before me, which I am not. Right? I'm good at this, but now I am in another scenario. And in the new scenario, or in a different scenario, I'm not enough. And I want to be enough everywhere, always. I'm not enough. This is important because I'm not enough, I believe, is the underlying reason why I have fear, which is the underlying reason why I don't go through my barriers. I've got the new cup today. I don't know where I put my other cup. So I tell you though, when you drink coffee out of a different cup, it like throws you. For those who drink coffee or anything consistently like this, you know what I'm talking about? And you have your mug, especially if it's glass, which is the most ideal way to drink coffee, like wine, you drink it in glass. And then you can't find your glass mug. Anyone have this problem? And like you bring in the new mug out and you're like, it's just not the same. The coffee doesn't taste the same. Same coffee, it don't matter. It's about the vessel. For a different show. It's about the vessel. I'm not enough. So let's break this down. We're all at walls every single day. The fear that we have, the reason why we don't just plow through them is because there's fear. And the fear manifests in millions of different ways. What's underlying the fear is I'm not enough. Right? Because let's think it through. If we felt enough, we wouldn't be scared of it. And once we wouldn't be scared of it, we would try it. So let me give you an example. You ever find that like you're talking to younger people, whether it's your children or family members or whatever, someone young, and they're like struggling with something. And you're like, that's ridiculous. Just do it. Like, do you ever have this like, I'm scared to get up in front of my class and present on Abraham Lincoln in 5th grade. You're like, you're reading a paragraph. Like, just stand up and read the paragraph. Like, it's not the biggest deal. They're 5th graders. Anyways, they're all in space. No one's paying attention to you except for the teacher. And it's the sheets in front of you. Just read the words. It's one paragraph. It's 30 words. You're thinking that. When you were in 5th grade, you're thinking, I don't care what it is. I'm not getting in front of my colleagues and doing anything in public. Let's assume. So if you can almost imagine the conversation between, let's say, a parent and a child freaking out over having to read a paragraph in front of the classroom, a written paragraph. Maybe the parent thinking like it's not a big deal. So if the parent, if you will, would go into the room of the 5th grader and be given the paragraph, the parent wouldn't be like nervous and sweating and not sure. The parent would probably get up, say, good morning, class, read the paragraph, and then walk out if that were the same responsibility. Because the parent, as they get older, they look over to the fear of speaking in front of their friends, and they realize that they're enough. Like they could do that. That's not a big deal. And because now they've grown up, or the kids aren't as relevant because it's not their peer group or whatever it is, they get into the world of enough. And then as a result, that gives them the power to actually go and overcome whatever fear and then break through the wall. Whereas the kid who feels like they're not enough may have the same capacity as the mother to read 30 words. That capacity of reading may have already passed, and they're both in the same category of being able to read. But the fear is higher. So every time we do things and we recognize that we can do them, once the I'm not enough starts to increase to I am enough, then the fear of doing it dips. And then as a result, you can fight the thing. And for some people, it's public speaking. For some people, it's going through whatever it is. Everyone has their thing. But if you look through this, if we can look at this like equation a little bit, and it's much more complex, but if we just look at it simply, and we see on the one side a wall, and someone standing at the wall, whatever the wall is, what's behind that person in the back of their mind is fear. But what's underlying that fear is I'm not enough. And if all you got to do is increase the I'm not enough to I'm enough, the fear goes down, and then you start going through walls. So how do you do that? So we started yesterday by realizing that we're not enough. We don't got to fight I'm not enough. We just got to recognize we're not enough. We're accurate. We are not enough. The reason why I can't get through that wall is because I'm not enough. I haven't been able to get through that wall. Because if I can get through the wall, I would not be scared, and I would have went through the wall. Right? If I can get up and speak, I wouldn't be scared to speak. I would get up and read the paragraph. The feeling of I'm not enough may be accurate. I may not know if I'm enough. I may not know that I'm enough. I have no way of knowing especially if I've never done this before. And the problem that we have is that in some cases, like I said with the example that I just gave, the way you solve it is you realize that you're enough. And then your fear goes down, and then you do it. But in some cases, you just don't know. You've never done it before. You've nothing to draw on. This is a brand new area for you. You've never had these conversations before. You never tried this new idea before. You've never had to make these phone calls before. You've never had to deal with this crisis before. There are a lot of people going through things right now that are overwhelming them. You may never have started in a new country before. It's a huge shift. People are moving different countries. I have friends of mine that make what's called Aliyah, which is they go to Israel, which is amazing. And then they get there and they got to start their lives. And they've never been in that country before. They've been there for vacation. They've been there for a year, maybe in a gap year. But now they're rebuilding. They don't know how to do that. So it's not like, I'm not enough. I'm taking on a new role in a job. I'm not enough. My family changed. Hopefully for better. God forbid for worse. I'm not enough. Right? Not like I know I am, but I'm not. I need to have someone pat me on the back. That's level 1. You are enough. You can read the paragraph. You could do it. You could do it. Fear goes down and through the wall. But there's another way of no, I really can't do it. I'm really not enough. I really have never done this before. This is a brand new area for me that I've never had to encounter. This is a life change that came at me or that I took on. These are the feelings that I have is accurate. The feelings that I have is a proper analysis of what's in front of me and me recognizing that even though people think that I'm enough, I really don't know how to do this thing. I got to tell you, the whole world just went through it. Whoever's being honest with themselves, the whole world dealt with a virus that nobody really knew anything about. Lots of people made some major mistakes because they just didn't know. They didn't know how to do it. They didn't know how to deal with it. We're not enough to deal with things sometimes that we've never dealt with before. And the mistake when you hit this wall of not just I am enough, but I got to work on my confidence, the accurate reflection of I'm not enough, which you sense, which you feel, which you know in your core is true. The problem is that you think you have to be enough to go through the wall. You're not enough is accurate. We're not enough. That's what life is. Life is the journey of becoming more every single day. If you can envision it back to our bodybuilder sitting under the bench as the trainer puts on 2 new plates of weights. If you'd be like on a committee of his muscles in his brain, and now for the first time, this bodybuilder or this regular dude is sitting with a bar, and the trainer goes, okay, for the first time in your life, here is 20 more pounds. And he puts on a plate of 10 pounds on the right and a plate of 10 pounds on the left. And the guy goes like this, and he starts to move the bar, and he can't move it. His muscles are saying, you don't got it. Now, if it's too far into the future, he's going to hurt himself. They got it. Let's just, for those that are like, well, he can tear and hurt himself, just leave that to the side for a second. We know. I once had somebody like in the middle of a speech that come to me like, if you speak this way, people are going to start doing things that are very risky and they hurt themselves. I'm like, I got it. I usually assume that the people have somewhat common sense. No one's going to come out of a speech and jump out of a building thinking of Superman. Like, I got it. Just leave the macro terrors doing stupid things. Let's just stay in the world of common sense. Bar. Weights. You do not have enough strength to lift those weights. You're not enough. You've never done them before. Whether you do or you're not relevant. Your brain is accurately telling you, no, you're not enough for this. Your muscles aren't strong enough for this. And there's this force inside you that says, well, we got to try. Because we'll never be enough until we're willing to do things when we're not enough. You see, we don't have to be enough in life. I'm enough is about me and feeling good about myself. When we're waiting to feel good about ourselves to do bigger things, we'll never, ever get that way. No, we'll never get there. When what's in front of us, in this case, the weights, is a little bit past what's within us, which is our muscles. And we know that we don't have enough strength. But we also know that there's some force inside me that can somehow push through even the strength of my muscles. There's a concept called adrenaline, let's say, if you want to go into that world, that can enable someone to act in a way that is even beyond their natural strength. There are stories, you've seen these, you've heard these, they're real actual stories of people that lifted cars that couldn't do that, or ran in ways that they couldn't do, or act. There's strength inside us beyond what my muscles have. And so that bodybuilder sits under the bench, and he tells himself, I don't care if I can do this one, I'm doing it. And so with every bit of his emotional, mental, physical energy, right? He's not talking to his friend as he's doing it. He's not texting. He's not scrolling Instagram, right? He's got every little bit of energy focused, mind, body, soul on that bench. And he gets up 1 or 2 or 3, and that's it. And he collapses. And what took place right then and there was a microcosm for life. You stare at something that's beyond you and you say, I'm not enough. And then you say, yeah, that's exactly how life is supposed to work. I'm supposed to be not enough before I hit my challenges, because how else am I going to draw out my inner strength called my soul that will give me the ability to be more than I was yesterday? The only way I know that I am growing is when I start things and I'm not enough. Because it's not growth if I'm enough. If I sit at a bench and everything that I lift are things that I lifted yesterday, if I'm enough, if you will, if my muscles are strong enough to lift the weights, then I'm not really growing the muscle. The only way I grow the muscle is if what I am lifting is beyond my perceived capacity. So when I look at something and go, I am not enough, the answer is amazing, because whatever happens now is growth. Because if I were enough, I wouldn't need to do this, because I've already been here before. So I could reinforce. That's very good. I can review. Wonderful. I could, there's a lot of things, a lot of benefits to doing things multiple times, no question. But growth follows the process of starting with not being enough. That's how you grow. That's what growth is. It is the journey from not to having. It is the journey from where you are to a higher, different, further place, right? The kid wasn't tall enough when he was 5, and then was tall enough when he was 17, because he grew in between 5 and 17. So in this one little measure of tall enough, what took place before and after was an actual process of growing. Growth always begins with you not being enough. So if you feel like you're not enough, amazing. Welcome to the world. Welcome to growth. Phase 1. That's how it works. We only live in a world where we have to always be enough, because we have to pat ourselves on the back, because this world is so scary and competition is driving us insane. And we're always being compared to somebody that just feeling like I got this is such a warm feeling to us, but we're missing the whole point. We've got a soul that has to come out in this world. And it only comes out in this world when we are physically able to look out into the world and go, I'm not enough. I'm not strong enough for this. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. You think the people that landed in Israel in they were always there. 1920s and 30s, they were enough? Are you kidding me? Do you think we had enough to have Silicon Wadi while fighting a war every 15 minutes and dealing with all the security issues while having a defense force where the entire world runs in for training? Do you think these Jews were enough? You kidding me? Have you followed Jewish history? You haven't fought in an army since Bar Kokhba, since the times of Rabbi Akiva, since 150, 180 CE. We've been sitting, getting our beaten over the heads, trying to hold on to the spark of our religion through Europe and through the Middle East our whole lives, getting exiled from every single country, looking at the king the wrong way, finding out the next day that either you're going to convert or you're going to get put in front of a fire. Are you kidding me? And all of a sudden we roll into Israel, get beat up every second, defend ourselves physically, defend ourselves against the media, and still be able. We think anyone's enough? You think anybody waits to see if I'm enough? No. Anyone have a grandparent that was alive during the Holocaust or the Depression or 2 generations ago? 3 generations ago? Think they were enough? They weren't enough. Great people aren't enough. They just don't care to ask. They know they're not enough. It just doesn't stop them. The problem isn't that we're not enough. Guess what? We're not enough. Let's just deal with that right now. Me and you are not enough. I'm okay with it. Are you okay with it? I'll be okay with it if you'll be okay with it. Now let's put the question aside and go, whether I'm enough or not is irrelevant. It's not what I could do. It's what I should do. And every time we ask, am I enough? How come I'm not enough? How come he's enough? How come she can do it? How come it's easier for them? How come I didn't have this by now? It's so, how many years I can't put all that conversation aside and go, awesome. We'll talk about it next week. There's a wall. Whether I am or I am not enough is irrelevant to getting through that wall. I got to get through that wall. What's it going to take me to get through that wall? And once we start asking how and not why, once we are asking the questions of course I'm going through the wall. It's a wall. It's there for me to be better. Everything changes. Fear is normal. Yeah, life is scary sometimes. And that's called life. And that's what growth feels like. I'm not enough, followed by scared I'm going to fail, followed by I got through the wall, followed by let me see what I learned so that I can do it again. No way along this path do you feel like I'm enough. Stop trying to figure out if you're enough. You're not enough. I hope you're not enough, because if you were enough, you're not really fighting any big walls. Once we realize that, who cares if I'm enough? I got this source inside me that's more than I can ever be. It's called the soul. And I'll only know how great it is once I get through that wall. So if I'm not enough, I'm looking forward to becoming more after I go through the wall. And once we live this way, and I'm speaking for myself here, you know that. I just get to talk to you about me. Everybody feels not enough. And we'll talk more about this. Like so much about to talk about this. Okay. All right. Let's do this. I was going to go into a whole new world, but I think it's like 9:20 already. All right, everybody. Have an amazing, amazing weekend. Have a great weekend. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom, depending on whether you practice and how you sound. This weekend, try one time. We're on, by the way, Memorial Day for those who are interested. So Monday's Memorial Day, but we'll be on. For those that are interested, try this weekend when you hear that voice of I'm not enough. Respond to the voice. I'm not enough? You're right. But it's not stopping me. I'm still going through the wall. We'll see how that voice quiets down pretty quick. All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. With God's help, I cannot wait to see you again next week.